Okay. Are you ready to go?
Ready.
Okay, and scene. So, welcome, Stuck on Earth community. This is going to be a fun hangout. I am Trey. I worked with this great team here to make Stuck on Earth, and there's other people behind the scenes you don't see. I appreciate them too. Yes, so Stuck on Earth is going strong. I love it. We're building all kinds of new features into it. Wait till you see what's coming next. One feature I'll briefly mention here before I introduce everybody else, and I'll kind of let Topher take over for the show, and I'll just kind of set the background. But I did want to mention this new feature. One of them, actually I'll mention two features, okay? One of them is a suggestion from Robert Scoble, who was using our app at this big photo walk we did in Yosemite. Karen was there, I know. And so his suggestion was actually a great one. He says, you know, I wish I could just zoom in to a certain layer of the map, right? A certain radius, let's say, like around Yosemite, and then click a button and say, get me all the photos in this area. All right, so we're doing that. It's going to be awesome, and it will just download all those photos to your iPad. It'll say, look, it's a little bit slow. It's going to take a few minutes to get all this stuff, but we can do it for you. So that's awesome. That's a big feature. Another one is that you guys might notice that, like, let's say you're on the map view, and then you see an image that's interesting, a little thumbnail. You click on it, and then it becomes full screen. Right? It's almost like a different app at that point. How you go full, how you start swiping through the photos, and the map is gone, and you're in this photo mode. Well, we're changing the UI for this quite significantly. So now when you click on a UI, it kind of floats up and kind of floats on top of the map, right? Very big. You can still go full screen if you want to, but you're kind of still always in this map mode, and then you're moving through the images while still sort of in this map interface. So it's not quite so jarring. And we have lots of other little things coming too. Okay, so enough of a teaser. I'll just introduce everybody quickly and then let Topher take over. So this is Topher, the bespectacled brunette here. You like that alliteration?
That was pretty good, yeah.
There are two of them, though, here, so...
Yes, well, that's true. Well, so Topher is our editor-in-chief, our benevolent dictator of the Stuck on Earth community. Thank you, Topher.
Thank you.
Karen, over here in the leftmost square, is the voice of Stuck on Earth. She is beguiling and becoming, and also the host of Life Through the Lens.
Indeed.
Did I get that right?
Indeed we are. So it's very nice to be here. Thank you, Trey. And I'm glad everybody's here because this is fun.
Yes. And also, we have a wonderful kind of guest of honor over here in the rightmost square. This is Zach Shepard. He is the community manager for Flickr. Did I get that right, Zach?
Yep, I'm the senior community manager. There's a few of us, and I lead English and kind of the global team in general. And yeah, so my responsibilities are running the blog and helping with policy and just helping represent the community and what we might want to put into it next, and that's part of it. It's always a funny job, but that's me.
All right, great. Well, thank you for taking time to meet us here. It means a lot to the community and to me and everybody else, so we appreciate it.
Yeah. Especially for Stuck on Earth, you know, community is really what the app is all about. It's the best way to explore the world through photography. And because we use Flickr as our backend, you know, understanding how to make it both a better app experience and a better citizen on Flickr is, you know, a great opportunity for both. You know, why don't you walk us through originally kind of what you, for people starting a Flickr community, what are kind of the ways you like to see the, you know, discussion, or how do you get that feedback from the community into more of the moderation circle?
Well, so there's lots of different ways we try to get some feedback from the community. There's so many cool places on Flickr. There's the forum where we see a lot of, you know, what people might want. There's Flickr ideas. We're also learning more what people might want, you know, and how people might want things to change. But more than that, because not everyone's going to hang out in those places, you know, we all try to go to different groups. Different people have different kinds of interests. Some of us maybe like more mobile photography. A lot of people like food. There's Flickr in so many ways is a community of communities. It's what my old boss Heather used to say, and I think it's a really good way to describe Flickr. And one of the things I think is really cool about Stuck on Earth, because like you said, you're trying to build a community, and it's a community within this larger thing. There's all these other cool little ones that you can connect to, and I don't know that's kind of what I think. The best way we explore is just with our own interests, because that's the only way you can see what really is intriguing about to people, I think.
Yeah, definitely. It was a couple of weeks ago, actually, I was helping Karen kind of as a Flickr newbie kind of for the first time to upload images into Flickr and then add them to our community page and actually get them in the application. And just like we were talking about a couple moments ago, when you walk through that experience for the first time, it can be a little bit overwhelming, what's this name do? What's this tag do? Maybe Karen, why don't you describe a little bit about what that experience was like and, for the first time of going through that process?
Well, like I say, or like Topher said, I haven't been on Flickr before and wanted to, try it out since we're doing this wonderful app. And so I asked Topher to walk me through the process, and I was really glad that he did, because it was, there are people who sort of think technically in those terms, and although I run a recording studio here and I'm technical in that way, for some reason, sometimes when it comes to that type of interface, I'm not so good, and I was confused. So Topher brought me through it and made it entirely. Now I can do it now, but he had to kind of walk me through it a little bit. It wasn't as.
It does take once or twice.
Yeah, it does. It wasn't as intuitive as I thought, which was kind of encouraging for me. Then I didn't feel as stupid.
No, yeah, that's one of the funny things for me when I started on Flickr, I felt really at home, but we get a lot of feedback, and I think it's very valid feedback that initial experience is kind of confusing. I think there's just so much information coming at you, and like, oh, what is this and what is that? And that's one of the things we're actually trying to work on this year, is that kind of initial experience. But so for some tips, I guess I would say, after you upload, one of the best part of Flickr is that community and kind of talking and finding other people. So after you upload, I always say make sure you use good titles and descriptions, and especially the tags are really important to show a lot about where you've been, and whether it be the activity, your camera type, or the place, anything about that photo you can use to kind of categorize it, and then even that it's sometimes. Maybe your friends and family aren't there, but one of the fun things about it can be meeting other people that care about the photography you care about. So finding groups that you care about and, commenting on a couple other people's photos or favoriting a couple, and usually, giving out brings back to you, as in any social network. And it's nice in Flickr because it's about photography. So it'll be the comments you give out there are going to be about photos, probably ones that you care about, and oftentimes they'll kind of care about the ones that you took as well. So just interacting and using the right categories is the simple, good old thing that can bring so much, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
One of the unique factors of Flickr is just how photography is paired with geolocation data and geotags. An application like Stuck on Earth is really enabled because, photos and geotags are married together. It was also kind of one of, I think, the hardest things people go through if they're working with kind of an existing image catalog, is how do I go through now and add all this geotag and geolocation data? Yeah. What tips do you have for people who are, either going through a back catalog or are uploading images fresh for best practices on when they're going on photo walks or otherwise?
That is a really good question. My laptop's getting hot. Hold on. Okay, so the organizer is usually the best place to do that. You can do it one by one in a photo, but the organizer is always the best. So the places I would start, I think, are, so let's say often if you upload your photos to Flickr, it's from some trip or photo walk you took, let's say. So maybe you put it in a set. It's already in a set. So if you go to the organizer, then go to the map tab, you can sort at the bottom by sets. You just pull up a particular set. Now you have all the, you have 20 or 100 photos from a similar area, so you don't have to reset the map 15 times as you float around. You can just load a set, go to that area of the map, and boop, 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 and go around. And it's an easy way to take care of a lot at one time. The organizer is definitely the easiest way to do anything geo. I think anything. If you can get used to the way the organizer works, it can be a really great way to add 15 tags to 400 photos in one shot. And yeah, I would say the organizer. I would also, we don't like to talk too much about things that aren't coming out yet, but very soon, I will say very, very soon, there'll be a little more to help you with that. So if you happen to have a back catalog of a whole bunch of them, basically there'll be something that'll help you out with the back catalog, and we'll leave it at that, because I'm not sure how much we usually say, but yeah.
If you do the geotagging within Flickr, does that meld itself to the photo, or is that just a Flickr function? If you download that photo, does that geotag information come with it?
Well, kind of two answers to that. So when you upload your photo to Flickr, we try to, our policy currently is to not touch the original photo. So, we don't want to change the original file that you uploaded. You want to maintain the integrity of that. So if you download it, you will not get the geodata. However, there's a few different ways you can download your images. They're not provided on the site, but you can download these third-party applications, and a couple of them will download all the metadata with the photo. So you can still get it back down to yourself. I don't know if it's like, it wouldn't be married into the file, but there's probably some way to get it back there later if you want. So the answer is, yes, you can get it later, even if it's not on the site.
You don't know the names or want to say the names of those ways?
The two that I know off the top of my head are called Bulker, without the E, just like so many things that are Flickr.
Yeah.
And Downloader. I think if you do Flickr Downloader, I'm not sure if it's misspelled or not. I think it is, but if you do Flickr Downloader, you'll find that one.
So Flickr Downloader and Bulker.
I think there's another one called Flisher that usually gets good reports, like FLISHR, I believe.
And we'll be sure to put these links in the SOA community as well.
Yeah. That's great. Thank you.
Totally. That's one of the fun things about, those things, just exactly like Stuck on Earth. One of the fun things about Flickr, I think, is that open API that lets people do amazing things with it. Like our map isn't, our app isn't nearly as robust as in the map category as a Stuck on Earth app is. But that's the beauty of it, is that putting that data out there and you guys do something amazing with it. Like, that's what we want to see.
Yeah. One kind of a common community feedback point we've had is, especially for people who are curating a new top 50 list, is they find this amazing image and no location data. People will send Flickr mail or even comment in the photo, how can, I'll do all the legwork for you, or the concept of crowdsourcing geolocation.
Yeah.
Is there any way right now or, in the future that someone could say, like almost like tagging a photo, like this is my suggestion for where the shot was taken, and then the original photographer can approve or deny it?
That's interesting. We hadn't thought of it in that kind of model. I would say that, currently, just like you already said, is contacting them is the best way. They, hey, please, I'd love to use it. I think it'd be great if it was highlighted over here. But we want to leave that to that person, because privacy, especially geo-privacy, is so personal.
Mm-hmm.
I would be a little nervous even with the idea of someone saying, hey, I think you were here. You could see how that could feel a little weird. And those are the kind of things that we want to think about when we implement any kind of feature.
Mm-hmm.
It is an interesting idea that it would be nice to make it more useful, but we want to think about how to make it, how to do it the right way as far as geo. Of all the types of privacy, I would say people get more freaked out by geo than any.
Yeah, it raises a good point. Flickr has I believe it's called the Safe Zones feature.
Yep.
Of you can define kind of
geofences.
Geofences, sorry. That you can kind of define a safe zone that anything that shows up in this area, no geolocation data for your home, your kid's school, things like that you don't want to share with the world. I guess this is more approaching it from the opposite spectrum of like a public zone. If this photo you think is in Yosemite or in Yellowstone or somewhere that's a public space that people could say, I think this photo was taken here. I think, part of Stuck on Earth is we want to call out all of the amazing photography from all over the world. And, that's sometimes photographers are resistant to, getting a message from some random person on Flickr saying, hey, I think this is where it was too. So I mean, it's almost that privacy concern about, flooding your, Flickr mail inbox.
Well, I would say it's that part. I wouldn't worry too much about the flooding the inbox because people are always happy when someone's interested in my photo. Just like the best way we say if someone wants to, some third party or some magazine says, hey, how do I get rights to this photo? We say contact the photographer. It's their photo. And they'll do a Flickr mail and they'll reach out to them, and people are always happy with interest of any kind. And one other note on the geofences, I guess I would say is, what you mentioned about it seems a restrictive thing, which is it's one of the hard things about talking about it is unfortunate because the beauty of geofences really is like I can say like a good example is my work buddy who sits across from me. She has a family. Most of her pictures are at home. She actually really thinks geolocation is cool, but she doesn't want to have to worry when she uploads about every single one. Is it private? Is it not? So she can set a fence around a very small area of the world, which lets her be open in the larger world. And that's the beauty. Even though the idea is to restrict a little, the larger idea really is to let you share so much more. And it's hard to say that, like in an FAQ, but if that helps, I think that's a better way to think about it.
Yeah. We've been looking at possibly doing a whole bunch of different tutorials or things like that too, because just like you say, we have a couple different FAQs for top 50 lists and what we think makes a good image for Stuck on Earth, and there's things that you just can't, put into an FAQ effectively.
Yeah.
Someone was asking asked a question in the chat. I couldn't think of the word. Asking about how long pictures take to appear in the app. Do you select them? Do they go on automatically? And kind of what's going on behind the scenes there?
That's something that we're looking into right now. It should be pretty quick usually, but I know that there's some delay, and we're trying to look into that and figure out why there's a delay.
Yeah. And
how much of a delay is there? I'm sorry.
Yeah, sorry, Karen. We're building a list of kind of images. The community feedback has been great that when you have a specific case of an image that is in the Stuck on Earth Flickr community that for the life of you can't find it in the app, send us the links and we'll work with Zach and his team and everybody at Flickr. Getting that reproducible case is really important to us. And just like you highlight, Karen, I believe it was Martin Ullman was the question.
I think it was up there a ways, yeah.
Yeah, and it's one of the things, we see it too sometimes where if you upload 10 photos or so, 1 or 2 of them might take a day or more to actually show up. But, it's the ones that never show up are what we're concerned with. And we're going to work with Zach and everybody at Flickr to, make it a better experience. So by all means, keep sending in those photos and, we'll build the list. So let's see if there's any other questions quickly popping up. Well, Zach, actually, why don't you walk us through a little bit of, we utilize the Flickr API, and that's one of the big benefits of Flickr is a public and accessible API. What are, different ways, especially kind of moving more into the search umbrella, when people curate a top 50 list, they have to kind of scour Flickr to find all these images. Between kind of Flickr Advanced Search or maybe some of these other tools that are out there, do you have a recommendation for the ways that people can be finding great images tied to location?
So, because you want to limit ours to location, huh?
Correct.
I don't think we have an advanced search at geo only. I can't remember, though. Some of my general tips, let's see. So, what is something? It's hard because it depends on the search so much. First thing, I do a search. Let's an example. I think it like, let's say, I don't know, like something like waterfall. You could try general waterfall. Then you might get, like let's say you get the idea from the general search term of like 10 or so that you think are pretty amazing. You get you get one picture that looks like it's a pretty cool place. Maybe it's not the best picture. Then you can use the name of that to search a little deeper. You can, with good old quotations, if you want 2 words together all the time, try 2 words together. I try tag and full search. I also think it's handy to do relevance and interestingness. I try both always. And whenever I work on the blog, I try to do both because sometimes relevance turns up things that interestingness will not turn up, even though interestingness seems like it should do so much better. For interestingness is one where I would definitely use quotations. Let's say you're going along with relevance and it's pretty good, but it's not quite what you want. You want to try interestingness. Something like, what's the big festival in Brazil, you know, right before?
Carnival?
Carnival. Well, that's only one word. We need something that's 2 words. Let's say Chinese New Year. So let's say you do Chinese New Year, all 3 words. If you do search that on interestingness, it's going to try every single word separately, so you won't get really relevant results. If you put all that in quotations, then you're going to get things that are exactly only Chinese New Year. Now, for further, let's say you want something that's really current. Current is another time to use interestingness really well. Let's say you do Chinese New Year in quotes. You want only photos from like this year. You go down to the bottom and you can limit by date. I usually limit by, you know, a few days before. Let's say Chinese New Year was on like February 1st. I might limit it from like January 20th forward. That way you might pick up a few cool getting ready shots or a few people that have their camera settings wrong, and you can pick up some things that you might otherwise miss. And yeah, those are some tips, I guess. The advanced is really, really helpful. Another thing that I might do actually is after you find one that's really great, you know, that might not be the best shot that person took that day. It might just be the one the search found. So, you know, check out that photo stream. Check out the photos around it. That the other things they took from that day, is there one more even more spectacular that you could use? Or are they in a group where everyone's talking about that and you can find something really cool in there? Like the idea that after you find something, look around it in other contexts, I think is really helpful. The map, I guess the map, there is the map search. The map search is really weird if I remember right. Okay, let's say if you go to the map, actually I might, on the side, I'll try to do a little map experimenting before I do it off the top of my head, because there are some little tricks there, I think.
Cool, and we'll be happy to repost those with the community as well.
Cool.
One thing when Karen and I were first walking through kind of uploading into Flickr, it was, you know, this description field. You know, it's, you know, you have the you know, name of a photo, but really the description, you know, what is the content to put into there? And Karen, you know, we were talking about some stuff with Thomas Hawk's photos and yours. You know, what are the types of things you like to see in those description fields for the photos that you're kind of uploading now?
Me? I like to see, me or the other Karen? Just kidding. I like to see, well, it depends on the picture. Like in Thomas Hawk's, for instance, you know, his was the 50 secret spots in San Francisco. So there's always a trick with going places in San Francisco. So he had, in the ones where, you know, sneak by the security guard and make sure, you know, whatever the thing was about, don't worry about this and go there and turn left at the, where there's, I wanted to see that. With others, where it's pretty obvious where it is, and there's really not a lot of, well, some landscapes are like that, it's just there, then it's kind of fun to hear a little story or hear a little something fun about it, as opposed to, and then I got out of the car and I took my camera and I was just driving down the road, and, you know, that stuff isn't so interesting. Something that makes that spot meaningful or information that'll help me maneuver around the spot are most helpful to me personally.
And it's important to highlight that the description field, or in some cases the lack thereof, is one of the first things people will see when viewing more detail about a photo in Stuck on Earth. And on Stuck on Earth too, the field isn't that long. So
Correct.
If you're going to write something, make sure that it isn't going to go streaming off the page, and maybe take a look at a couple people's, find a couple that you like and see how long they are. And then, you know, gear comments accordingly. And if it's a shot of somewhere that someone should know something about in order to, you know, navigate that physical location, then include that.
Yeah. In especially kind of Europe or other kind of tourist hot zones, we see a lot of people put in historical information or other, you know, links to other resources too. And that stuff is great, and we love to see it, especially in kind of top 50 list photos. I guess another question back for Zach is, our top 50 lists are based on the Flickr galleries. And one question we've had for so long is, why are galleries limited to just 18 photos?
That's a good question. Okay, so when we initially made galleries, they were one of the real big ideas behind galleries is the idea of curation.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the idea that that you want to pick photos that really try to get across this idea, and the idea that less is more. So instead of let's say you call one summer's day, you could have 100 summer's day images, but how much would that really mean if you instead are kind of need to pick and choose 18 images that you're trying to get across the idea of what a summer's day means to you, whether that be you show the morning and the middle and the end, or time with your family and time alone, time in the sprinklers. That idea that you want to take the time to think about what idea you're getting across instead of just throw in everything you can. That's why.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's why.
And when we tell people who want to include both kind of community photos as well as their own photos when making a top 50 list, we kind of tell them to do a combination of a gallery for public photos and a set for your private photos that you want to share. Is there any way we could merge those two, or do they kind of need to be mutually exclusive like that?
Unfortunately, not right now. So that's, I guess, one other thing is, even though that is the original idea behind what galleries were, things like you're saying and uses like you guys are doing for top 50 lists is something, we didn't know how all the ways people would use them. And maybe based on the use that is happening, we should rethink the way they work. And that's the kind of stuff we try to think about. Galleries is one that's, not that used, so it's not top of the list. But the more we see how people use it, the more you see, maybe it's not that first original idea, but there's some really interesting things going on in galleries, and we want to think about it. So a basic answer is, unfortunately, no right now. But that's where it is.
Yeah. Karen, when now that you've reactivated and signed up for a Flickr account, what are the types of things that you'll be doing to organize your photos? Do you think you'll be everything you put onto Google+, you'll also think about putting onto Flickr, or how do you think that process will go for uploading to Stuck on Earth?
Well, I think if I think of uploading everything from Google Plus to Flickr, I feel like hiring someone because that would be very time-consuming. But I seriously, I may do it. For right now, just because I'm juggling so many things right now, I've got an album that is specifically geared for Stuck on Earth, and I'm just adding to it as I'm able, so that it can go into Stuck on Earth. And then I would like to bring my G Plus photos over there as well, but it's a little bit of a juggle fest in my life right now.
One tip I would also give, I think that I've heard Thomas mention a couple of times is, maybe because like Flickr, if you do all that organizing on our side, it doesn't stick with the photo. I'm not sure if it's the same on G Plus, but it's probably a good idea in general to whatever kind of organizing you can do, whether it be tagging or geo-tagging, adding people. Like if you can do it on your own system, so it's in that photo, if that's what's important to you, because then you can port it everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's new. I learned that recently, and that's sort of, how you start down one road and then you learn this one piece of information that you look back over your shoulder at that road and you go, damn, I got to go back and. So yeah, I've got to do a little reorganizing on that front. Yeah.
Cool.
But live and learn,
Yeah. So, I mean, that's the beauty of these, just like with Flickr, Flickr has that open API, but so many places do, where on Flickr, I mentioned that you can download the photos and the metadata. Other services, where if you put that work in, they might have a way to let you port it out as well. There's a real movement right now with a lot of sites where your data is your own, and that they want to try to give it back to you if you put the work in. It's something to look for on sites you're on.
That's interesting, because I never thought about that. Your data being your own means that it comes back to you in the same shape it went in, as opposed to, I just thought if I put the geotag info in there, it would just be there. But it makes sense what you're saying. I just didn't know that.
Well, the way you put it is exactly how a lot of people say it. Like the people like us, and I think WordPress, they have they have a similar kind of thing. A lot of services, they want to give it back to you in an open format that isn't owned by someone. So it's the kind of format that another person could just say, no problem, we can import these because that format is supposed to be usable by anyone. And it's a good thing to look for.
Yeah. The things we learn around here.
Every day it's something new.
Yep, I love it.
Well, great. We're kind of just about at time. But, Zach, we really want to thank you, and hopefully can bring you back again for more questions about Flickr and Stuck on Earth, and as we continue to grow in 2012, and maybe to come back and show some of the stuff Flickr's working on later in the year.
Cool.
Oh, and before I go, think to remember one more map tip. So if you zoom in on an area on the map, and then you do your search, it'll search only that area, which is a really good tip. Anyway, and I'll stop.
That's good. I didn't know that.
Yeah, and actually, as these tips come up, maybe an FAQ might not be the best spot, but we'd love to work and collaborate and do some tutorials or other stuff too, because this type of information is what helps the Stuck on Earth community. So
when you guys' feedback helps me too, like really, maybe I should write an FAQ about it.
Well, great. Well, I think Trey, are you still there?
I'm still here. Over.
Perfect. So, any final tidbits you'd like to add?
No. Thank you very much, Topher, for doing all that. And you're going to plan another one of these, right?
Yeah, we're hoping to maybe do one about kind of photo walks moving into Stuck on Earth. It was something we kind of talked about with Nicole last time was, rather than just looking at the photos that are on Flickr today, how do we encourage people to get out there and photo walk, share with Flickr, and then also share with Stuck on Earth? So we're kind of in the planning phase and working that out.
Well, great. We are going to do a huge South by Southwest photo walk. I just heard from some of the fellow organizers at Google and all over the place at the Driscoll, and this is a big procedure. This is a big operation setting this thing up. I think we'll probably break the world record we got last year of about 210 people. We should blow through that this year. I remember last year, at last year's photo walk, I announced Stuck on Earth, and I promised it was going to be free. It is free, as always, and now everyone has it. We're going to use it to find some really cool places to go on this photo walk, and it should be fantastic. I think if we can get as many people as possible to take pictures and geotag them all around our photo walk, we'll just be able to just load up the Austin area.
Maybe we can have some really good tutorials for people ahead of time on how to do that. People like me. Nice. Okay, I'll be specific. People like me.
Well, that's a great idea.
I think it's a fabulous idea. Do you have dates? Are there dates on that, Trey?
Do you want me to break the news right here?
Well,
okay, hold on just a second here. I got to go through my massive starred email list. It looks like it's going to be it's going to be on exactly
the suspense is building.
Let me see. Let me see.
It's a
Sorry, I'm
tremendous
confused here.
technique.
Okay, wait. Oh, it's March, right? It's in March.
Is it?
It's March 2012. And the exact date is going to be Sunday. Let me double check. Sunday. Can you feel the anticipation?
I'm almost nauseous with anticipation.
This is way better than
God. Now I think it's going to be Saturday, March 10th.
Oh.
At what time? At 2 p.m. Over.
And there
wow. I may have to wing.
Time.
Mark your calendars, Everybody, we have to see you out there.
I may have to wing my way there.
Yeah. Let me confirm that.
Yeah.
I wasn't totally sure. I want to make sure I give it the right. I'm pretty sure that's right. Okay. But I'll announce it soon on Google Plus and the Twitters and all that nonsense. All right. And we'll get it out there and have an awesome time. Karen, you're coming down for it, yes?
Yes, I am.
Good.
I didn't know that till just now, but I am. In fact, coming down for that.
All right. Good.
Good to know what I'm doing in March. I was wondering what I was going to do in March.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll have a good time. There's going to be all other kinds of fun Google Plus activity down here too. People are coming from all over the world, and it's gonna be incroyable. Okay. Well, thanks, you guys.
And thanks again, Zach, for making the Google Hangout.
Thank you, Zach.
Happy
This
to
was
be
great.
here. See y'all next time.
Yeah, thank you very much, Zach, and thanks everybody else. Okay. Bye. I'll end the broadcast now. Everyone wave goodbye.
Bye.
Ciao, ciao.
Ciao.
Bye.